Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode. In today's episode, I was joined by the franchise tags Freddie Hall and Skye Pank as we preview the AFC Wildcard Round games. I look ahead to an exciting matchup between the Jags and the Bills. Got Superman and Josh Allen, but that Jags defense is brilliant. Skye discusses his Patriots as they prepare to take on the Chargers.
Yes, if you look at it objectively, even if we did get knocked out, you would say, oh, it's been a good season, but to lose a home playoff game is just so painful.
And Freddie looks ahead to his Steelers game against the Texans on Monday Night Football.
We have got one of the toughest matchups in the playoffs, and that's going against this Texans defense.
Hope you all enjoy.
Do you want breaking news on the pods?
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I am, as ever, your host, Andy Davis. And welcome back as we preview the wild card in the AFC in the NFL. Now, of course, the last few years we brought you episodes per game. It's a fan of each team per game, but due to time constraints, due to scheduling, that's not possible this year. But we've got the next best thing. We're doing one episode per AFC, one per NFC with fans of those teams involved. And with me today, I've got two guests who are well known to show listeners by now, two members of the Franchise Tag podcast, and two people that I had the luxury, or some would say not a luxury, of staying with in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. It's Freddie Hall and Skye Pank from the Franchise Tag. Boys, how are you? How have you been?
Good, mate. I just wanted to say that obviously you've got me and Freddie on because we are the prime time games. Sunday night football, Monday night football. Prime time people for the prime time playoffs. So here we are, loud and proud, representing the Pats and Steelers. And let's hope, just off the bat, that there's 2 wins for our respective teams.
And what do I always do on prime time games, Skye?
Am I allowed to say? We might be thinking about different. What do you always do on prime time games?
Never watch them in the morning. Never stay up.
Yeah. Celebrate on the tube. He picks a random person on the tube and pretends they're a fan of the opposite team and celebrates in their face. That's what he did when the Steelers beat the Ravens.
Is that actually true?
True. Yeah, I never stay up for I never stay up for late games. I'm really bad. I
meant about the shouting in someone's face.
Oh no, I didn't shout. No, but I did watch the game on the tube on the way to work. And usually, by the time I get to like the front door of my work, the games are pretty much done, like the 40-minute repeat. But on this fortuitous day of all days, the train got delayed and stuck, and then the next train got delayed and stuck. And I was just like, well, this is okay because I get to watch the whole game sat here. But as I got off my last tube, the field goal was coming up, and I sort of stepped off going, oh, here we go. And as I turned the corner, we missed, and I sort of let out a bit of a like in the middle of the tube. And everyone was a bit like, what's this guy doing? And sort of like pumped my fist a little bit and vibrated. So I couldn't bellow out anything, but I had a mini moment to myself, let's say.
That sounded like an old school train noise there, didn't it? The train, it was very, very impressive. Andy, I didn't even admit to you that I actually fell asleep at the 2-minute warning of our Pats Dolphins game, obviously because I knew it was wrapped up. And I woke up to see the Rodgers to Calvin Austin. So, Freddie was, whichever way, was living through vicariously through me. I was celebrating for him as the Steelers end up winning it, and then watched the highlights of, I'm sure, of a game that you enjoyed very much to end the season.
Yeah, that was probably one of the best games I ever watched. That, in terms of, that's the game I personally think is a great advertisement for newbies. But Freddie, you talked about how you watched it in the morning. I also watched it in the morning, not knowing the result. But I had the issue of, I watched the ad-free replay on the Zone, and I got to work, and my shift started just as Calvin Austin scored that touchdown. So I had to wait for my first half of my shift, not knowing who wins the game. I'm thinking, well, are the Ravens going to win? Are the Steelers going to win? And I was in work just thinking, my phone was out of bounds because I couldn't find out the result. I'm normally pretty bad on my phone at work. So, yeah, I spent the whole 4 hours just completely just thinking in my head, who the hell's won this game? And then it turns out to be a thrilling end where, I was there in my lunch break at work, going crazy over 2 teams I don't support. Absolutely insane. And that has, of course, led to the Steelers going into the playoffs, and that also led to me winning our final episode of Andy versus the Guest. So in Andy versus the Guest, a game that Freddie was part of in week 1 alongside Johnny Bisbee, it was another win for myself, which means that at the end of the season, I have a 2-win gap over the Guest. So in the end, it's season 1 of Andy versus the Guest. It is a successful triumph for the host, which
I really thought you were going to say, and that got me my second win of the season.
I mean, that was my worry. I was gonna lose every week and just be this embarrassing thing, like going 0-15 or 0-16 in these predictions. But no, it's been a good guess.
You know your NFL so well. You know your NFL so well. Don't you? Gotta back yourself. You. As you said, we stayed with each other, and I know that you know a hell of a lot about NFL. So you're never going to be the defeated host. Don't worry.
You're not as biased as most. You're an objective fan. I will. Yeah.
I think as a Dolphins fan, I think I've been trained to be pessimistic and sort of neutral. Because if I thought you're biased about bloody, I don't know, some really average players you've had
you did have to say Quinn Ewers is the future, though.
No, can I say it? I can't think what it. Well, I did say we make the playoffs this year, which
I told you in that episode with Johnny Bisbee, you were delusional. I said that at the time and couldn't believe that you two were clubbing against me, thinking I was the one who was being mad, saying you weren't a very good team.
To be fair, Pete Schrager said he'd make the playoffs. And also, at one point, I was thinking we're going to have this amazing comeback and make the playoffs and sneak in. And then the game against you guys ended up costing us. I can't think what week it was now, but the positive is there's no more tour. So there's one positive about the season. It's been a really mediocre season, but that's been the one positive. But we'll move on to the first game of the 3, which does involve the one game where neither team's got a horse in the race. Neither guest has got a horse in the race, I say. As the Bills travel to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who is going to win this game? Of course, Jaguars earn the 3rd seed and the division title in the AFC South as they beat the Texans to that after their win on Sunday. And the Bills already had their fate sealed as the 2nd place team in the AFC East, and they'll go in as the 6th seed. And I'll go first on this one. This one's been quite tough to predict. I'm not going to lie. It's been quite tough because I think both teams. I think the Bills have got Superman and Josh Allen, but that Jags defense is brilliant. One thing I will say is that you've got the number 1 rushing offense against the number 1 rushing defense. So you've got. I think we'll see James Cook probably taken out the game in that sense. Same thing as maybe Josh Allen scrambling. And I think for that alone, with the defense, I think the Bills have been a bit questionable, in the sort of defensive end of things this year. I think as well, I do question Lawrence. He's had one playoff win, and that was a bit fortunate because of the Chargers collapse. So I do question a little bit about that, but that was also coached by Doug Peterson, not Liam Cohen. So I think that will all change. So I'm going to go for the Jags to win. They're at home as well. I think the Bills, a lot of emotion last week came out in the final game at Highmark. I think it's a bad matchup. I think against the Chargers they might have won. I think even in Foxborough they might have won. But I think in terms of how good that run defense is at the Jags, I think I'm going to give the edge to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Freddie, we'll go to you first. Who wins this game for you?
See, our problem, mine and Skye's problem is we literally recorded our show on the franchise tag last night. So I can't even lie my way through and say I think a certain thing, because Skye will be like, that is not what you said last night.
I won't do that, don't worry. You will have
I'm going to stick true to my guns of that the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think, are a real team. They are a real team. I think Trevor Lawrence has looked superb in the last couple of months. I think I always believed that Trevor Lawrence was going to be a success quarterback. It has taken has it taken Liam Cohen to show that? Maybe not. I think it's always been apparent, but the consistency has now started to happen under Liam Cohen. I think their defense is really top drawer as well. And they seem to be on they're on a great run of form, aren't they? They've not lost a game for a while now. So coming into this matchup, and I said this yesterday, if this was Jacksonville in Buffalo with the snow, with Buffalo, which is a a big stadium to go to at Highmark. It is a collegiate atmosphere. It is intense. I can't see the Jags winning. But then they're at home. They're in Florida with the Bills. And I'm going to, unfortunately, have to side with the Bills because of what you said a moment ago. I just can't turn down Superman Josh Allen. I just can't turn it down. As much as I would love to believe in the Jags to win this game, I've seen too much proof of Josh Allen being just that guy. And I'm a little bit bigger on the wide receiver unit than some people. I don't think they're amazing, but I think they're better than most people give them credit for. And I'm just hoping that this sort of galvanized, they've sort of cooled off in the last few weeks. I'm just hoping that will galvanize them coming to the playoffs, because unfortunately they are maybe the only team in this playoff bracket where the criticism would be, if they get bounced out, it'll be, well, Josh, this was sort of your like moment, no Joe Burrow, no Pat Mahomes, other teams that have been quite successful usually in the playoffs, not here this time, and you didn't get it done either. So I'm going to go Bills just because I believe in Josh Allen a little bit more than I do the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, I had the Bills down as a Super Bowl or AFC Championship favorite after, I think, the first 2 weeks. I just felt like the way it was going, I think they started the season, I believe, was something like 4-0 before they took on the Patriots. I had this feeling that their last home game was going to be winning that AFC Championship against the likes of Jackson or Mahomes, will finally sort of get that monkey off their back. I think, if it was in Buffalo, I think it's a different story. But I think, the fact it's in Jacksonville, I don't think Jacksonville's that much of a I don't think that stadium wins team games like maybe.
I don't. It's not an intimidating map. It's not an intimidating atmosphere to go to. It's not. It's not like going to these big grounds like Arrowhead or Bills or the Link for the Eagles, or even, to be honest, the Patriots Stadium, Gillette Stadium. It's or Heinz Field. They are, unfortunately, Jacksonville, as much as they are really successful this year, they're not the biggest team in Florida, in their own state, let alone. And I mean that in the kindest way. They're a small market team, but hopefully if they get this win, that will propel them to another height. I just think that Buffalo, I've seen it too many times with Allen.
Yeah, and if you think about it as well, really think of all the Bills' playoff losses, all the stuff happens. It's only really been, for most of the part, been against the Chiefs. You had that one loss against the Bengals. And you had obviously a loss early on in his career against Texans and Deshaun Watson. But, most of his losses have come against the Chiefs. I think with them out of it, the Jags have got way less experience in playoffs than the Bills do. Bills, they know what it's like to lose a playoff game. They know the hurt that goes behind it, and they'll be motivated by that. And I do think that will come to play, I think, potentially in this game. But I just think it's that Jags defense. I just don't know whether they've got enough. I think that defensively to stop the Jags offense, I think there's been some great plays from Lawrence this year, MVP candidate, so I'm not going to be shocked if the Bills win. I'm not going to sit here and be like stunned if the Bills do beat the Jags, but I'm still going to have the edge to the Jags. Skye, for you got the final vote. Who wins it for you?
I think you both made very good points, and I completely agree. And to just, when you were saying about Josh Allen's obviously first start in a playoffs back when he played in 2020, they lost to the Texans. Yeah, the only other team they've lost to was the Bengals in 2023 in that divisional round. It really has been the Chiefs that has been Josh Allen's kryptonite. But in 13 playoff games, he's had 25 touchdowns to 4 picks. Like, if you just look at him as a quarterback in the playoffs, he really does sort of just play his best football when it matters most. It really has been the Bills, one way or another, who have let him down. And I think, you could make the case that really, if they do lose to the Jags, the weakness is the Bills' defense. But I think we can still expect an elite performance from Josh Allen, because their O-line's not really being talked about enough about how good it is and how much time they do give him. He really is the ultimate X factor and will be the most dangerous quarterback the Jags have faced all season. I know that people talk about the Jags. Obviously, it was impressive that they beat Denver in Mile High. They did beat the Chargers in the second half of that schedule. But after we did our episode last night, like Fred said, if you really look at it, I'm not discrediting them entirely. But when you're in a division where you've taken down teams like a banged-up Colts team, Titans, Arizona, and the Jets, I think it could quite easily be a one-score game, but I just don't really see how you can go against Josh Allen, especially when you've both covered off the right points of it's not an M&T Bank Stadium, it's not a Heinz Field. It really is going to be a good weather game where Josh Allen will excel and probably get them over the line.
Interest. That means that we've got the Bills advancing in the first of the 3 AFC playoff games. Next up is the first of our 2 involving our guests' teams, and it is a game involving the New England Patriots as they host the Los Angeles Chargers at Gillette Stadium. You got the 7th-seed Chargers against the 2nd-seed Patriots. Skye, as a fan involved in this game, I'll let you go first. Who is going to win this game for you? Is it your Patriots, or are we going to see a shock win for Jim Harbaugh's team?
Yeah, I don't, to be fair, like if it does happen, Fred made some good points last night and so did Andrew. I don't think it would be as big of a shock as people would make out because the Chargers are a good team. But my obviously biggest confidence is coming from the fact of, I know people talk about resting their starters, but they are banged up. Justin Herbert does have a broken hand still. It might not be his throwing hand, but that could play a factor. I think the key hit here really is, we've been really good all season of stopping elite running backs getting a significant amount of rushing yards. So if we do the same to Murray Hampton, I think there's plenty of opportunities there for, a pass rush that has been decent, but to probably excel in this game and take advantage of a banged up Chargers O-line. Maybe P obviously has plenty of weapons. I think Hunter Henry could be the difference maker, given that he's going against his old team. I think we see that a lot in the NFL. A lot of people like to pick that where, a former player sort of turns up big when they play a former opponent. I'm liking everything, Andy. Surely the Patriots win. I know Fred did say last night that I think, yes, if you look at it objectively, even if we did get knocked out, you would say, it's been a good season. But to lose a home playoff game is just so painful, especially with how good Drake May has played all season and the fact that Mike Vrabel has coached, the Titans to a championship game. If he was able to do that with Ryan Tannehill, I'd like to hope that in Drake May's first playoff start, we are going to beat the Chargers. So, yeah, quite simply, Drake May 6 touchdowns and a blowout win.
I agree with you in terms of kind of the loss. I mean, expectations change. I mean, start of the year, if you told a Patriots fan you'd have, we win the division, you lose in the wild card round, you think, okay, that's fine. It's it's a progress. It's the development on 4 wins the year before with Gerald Mayo. I think the way the season's gone, expectations do change, and I do believe that it will be a disappointing, loss against a team that hasn't got much playoff pedigree. There's not like if you lost to a Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs or Tom Brady Buccaneers or something like that, you would think, oh, fair enough. But I think the Chargers, for me, they've got injuries on the offensive line. I think they're a good team, but I just don't think they got enough to beat this Patriots team. And I think the Patriots team are slightly, overrated. I do think they've had one win against a team with more than a 500 record. They've had a very easy schedule. I think that is, Drake May's been MVP candidate, may even win it. I'm fully accepting that. But then at the same time, I kind of do feel maybe it's a schedule a bit favourable to them. But either way, I think in this game alone, especially at home, singing Crazy Train at the start of the game in that elite, that scary atmosphere that is Foxborough. I just don't know whether the Chargers will be able to cope. Now,
Freddie really wanted me to bite then, didn't you, Freddie? On the schedule thing.
You usually do.
Andy's been talking to Adam too much. I think one thing, can I just say for anyone new to the NFL who is listening to this, when people talk about strength of schedule, you also have to look at, the weeks that you played these teams. We beat the Panthers, blew them out, all right, early in the season, but a team that beat the Rams and are still in the postseason. We beat the Bucks before their meltdown. If anything, we gave them their meltdown. So, we beat the Ravens when, I don't know, Snoop looked better than Lamar when he turned up. So, if anything, that was an advantage for them, Lamar being out.
Yeah, the thing as well, Herbert, I've not seen anything in the playoff game that makes you think he's going to go and win a game in Foxborough. We saw what happened in Jacksonville, 2022 season. We saw what happened last year against the Texans. He had, I think, more interceptions in that one game than the entire of the season combined in the regular season. And I think injuries to the O-line is the biggest thing for me. And I can see this Patriots defense really getting to the Chargers offense. Freddie, is it a clean sweep? Are you going to go for the Patriots as well? Or are you giving any hope to the Chargers?
The Patriots are only good because of this strength of schedule, mate. They have not beaten anyone this year. I'm completely winding you up with that one. I was one of the first to say that I thought the Patriots would make the playoffs, but I'm erring on the side of the Chargers. Now, you sort of were a little bit derogatory about Justin Herbert there. Now, Skye, if the Chargers weren't playing the Patriots, would have backed Herbert there, because we've both backed Herbert before in the past and said that he is a decent quarterback. He's good. This is unfair, this tag of him not being good in the playoffs, etc. I just think that, for me, this game is a bit of an experience and maybe just that one too far sort of situation. I think the Patriots are really good. They are really good, and they're going to be a very good team for a long time. I think they're maybe not a 14-win team this year. And if people can say schedule, whatever, I don't really care. I think when we looked at the start of the year, we said that at least 11 wins would be feasible for the Patriots. So having a little bit more is good. That's pretty decent. Maybe there's a few teams in there that could have been better this year, and they just weren't. I just think there is still a lot of youth and inexperience within the Patriots team, including Drake May. And that's not to denote anything that May's done this year. I think May will probably be the MVP. But it is a different step playing the playoffs. And yes, you are at home, but a lot of these guys for the Chargers have been here before. You talked about playoff pedigree. Going to the playoffs in itself is experience, and losing is maybe, one could argue, losing makes you learn more than winning, which I maybe am clutching at straws with that one a little bit. But these guys, Harbaugh's been to the playoffs. He knows what it's about. Yes, Vrabel has, but so has Harbaugh. Herbert has been there. Plenty of players on the team have been there. I think, usually Patriots games were a story of a small wide receiver, and I think it might be the story this time. I think Lad McConkey could definitely be a game changer for the Chargers in this one.
I do agree with that, Fred. McConkey's obviously be the difference maker if they do win this game. But Andy, I do agree with you as well that with Justin Herbert, I think with the quarterback, it's such a big thing to get your first win and to be 0-2. And I'm obviously, he's an Oregon guy as well. I love Justin Herbert, but I think I'm at this point of his career now, kind of probably how we were about Trevor Lawrence going into this season. We know he's a guy with a lot of talent, but it's like can you deliver it now? So this will be a big performance for him, because if they do lose this week, then I think that tag is, to say it's justified is probably harsh, but there's going to be some truth to it, regardless of how he plays. If they lose another playoff game, you start to get into like.
But Lamar overcame it.
Lamar
overcame that.
To be fair though, we say overcame it. We've spoke on pods where together where he's still a bit emotional in the playoffs. Lamar, we've seen him try and do too much. So I don't know. They just need to get. And I mean, I didn't say this last night actually, but when we say I get that most of the Patriots roster's not been to the playoffs, but when you've got Milton Williams, who's now back from IR, who just won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, you've had Stephon Diggs play in the playoffs. There are at least some leaders there to hopefully guide these young, that's the point of bringing in guys like that. You get that your core has not been to the postseason, but, we'll see Diggs, like Andy said, Crazy Train will play, Diggs will do his big speech, and then, boom, Pats win.
I think as well, I'm literally what I was going to say now, but yeah, for me, I still think there's a number of quarterbacks that can't seem to have this big tag. And I think part of that's been the whole Mahomes factor. The fact that he's been every year winning the AFC. This has been the year where other quarterbacks have got a chance now to try and overcome this playoff hump. And I think, Lamar Jackson still has to overcome this. But that's something he hasn't got to worry about this year, because the Ravens did lose to the Steelers, who play our next game, which involves the Texans and the Steelers, which of course does involve Freddie's team, as the 4th seed Steelers host the 5th seed Houston Texans. Freddie, we'll go to you first, as you are the guest in the show who supports the team involved in this game. Who wins it for you? Is it your Steelers, or are the Texans winning it?
Sorry, just to poke the bear one more time at Skye. Maybe in 4 years' time, Drake May might have the same tag as Lamar and Justin Herbert and never get over the line in the playoffs.
Wow.
I'm just saying we've not seen him in the playoffs, though, have we?
You better hope he don't win on Sunday.
He might, SH1T, as my grandma would say, the bed. Like he might. He just might. We haven't seen him in the playoffs yet, have we, though?
No, we haven't.
It's a good.
It's a point to make. I'm sorry. It's a point that I've not heard anywhere. Come to think of it,
that's true. But when you go from 4 wins to 14, he's got the sauce. He's got the sauce.
Yeah, but Justin Herbert's got the sauce. For me,
well, he's dating the sauce, but he ain't got the quarterback sauce anymore.
Anyway, my Pittsburgh Steelers.
Sorry, Freddie, one more thing I'm going to go in with. You mentioned that. Kyler Murray went 11-0 1 year with the Cardinals. And
Ben Roethlisberger went like 12-0.
Yeah, and what happened in the playoffs? Roethlisberger loses to the Browns. They were 28-0 down in the first quarter. Yep. And Murray just SH1T, as you said, SH1T's the bed. And I think it's a good point you make. I mean, I think there's a regular season quarterback and a postseason quarterback. You think about Eli Manning was never that good in the regular season. But come the playoffs, in those 2 years he made the playoff when they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Sorry, Skye. He turned it on. Joe Flacco had the same thing. Nick Foles. These players just... There's some people that can just turn it on when it matters. And I think there's certain quarterbacks that don't. And right now, I think Freddie's exactly right. We haven't seen Drake May in the playoffs. We haven't seen Lawrence much in the playoffs.
To back it up, though, to back up May a little bit, the people you've just said then, by the time it came to the end of the season, were on the downturn. May's not. May's definitely in form. Like, he's been playing really, really well. So,
and also, Andy, I know there are postseason and regular season quarterbacks, but you're talking about a franchise that has the guy who delivered in the regular and postseason consistently. So now that Drake May's in New England, of course he's going to do this. It's the mini GOAT. We can call him that already.
Kid, I think they're called.
The kid GOAT.
No, a kid, a mini goat or a baby goat is called a kid.
Oh yeah, I know. I just thought one, but I had to throw goat in there. And actually, I have to. We were all in London together, obviously, for the media. I have to ask Andy now. I was being ridiculed for this take.
Oh, I knew this was coming up.
Back in like week 6, is Drake May currently now a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League?
This season, it's been 1 year. I will say that. It's been one season.
But yeah.
Are
you talking about a resume for all quarterbacks, or you mean this season, sole season on its own?
Just right now, based on what you've seen this season.
This season, this season's been.
That's what. Yeah, but I just gone. Is it on their whole catalog or this season? You went, oh, it doesn't really matter, but this season. So yeah, this season, yes, this season he is a top 5 quarterback. Catalog, no.
No, I can take that, I guess.
His catalog's not there yet, Skye. You have to admit that. You have to admit it. I would even argue he's not a top 10 guy in catalog.
I don't like that, but
you can see his heart sinking. You can see the glass shattering all around him.
No, he's not even top right now. He's top 2, to be honest.
But that's MVP. But this is like an MVP thing. Like, yes, of course he is. Like, of course he is. On current
all the metrics: deep ball, pass percentage completion
at this current time. Yeah. But you can't. But this is what I'm saying. When you're talking about, if we're talking about top 5 quarterbacks in the league. When people go top 5 quarterbacks in the league, they will immediately go Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Stafford. And that really is on back catalogue, isn't it? Because that 5 has not been the top 5 this year. So I think May, you can argue being in the top 10 of catalogue at the minute, but I don't think you can. I think you on season form, yeah, but that's him going. That's the exact same as who's going to win MVP. There's no difference in that for me.
It is funny that like Jalen Hurts going into last season was in nobody's top 10, and then as soon as he won a Super Bowl, every ranking I saw, he was in the top 10.
It was like, yeah.
Now, if you fast forwarded it again, I bet you he's in no one's top 10 based on this season. So I just wanted to, but yeah, it's just, but it does a lot come down to obviously the recency of the current season. But I just think in terms of talent as well, there is a case that we have seen, and even Fred has said this, it is a kind of a Josh Allen 2.0 situation in terms of a rough early start to his career, but we've already seen, and Lamar, I can't remember, did he win an MVP in his second? He won MVP early in his career. I think we're seeing the same trajectory from Drake May compared to those two guys.
Interesting. And for a little bit of an in-joke for us three here, does Rashee Rice make your top 5 quarterbacks? That's the question.
Not on current form, no.
Right, let's move on to the Steelers Texans. Freddie, we'll go to you first. Are your team winning the game?
This is why I went straight back to Skye, because I don't want to talk about my team. That's why I went straight back to talking Patriots. What a night it was. What a game it was against the Ravens. A game that we shouldn't have really won. We didn't look like the best team. But we got through, and it was pure luck and something in the air that made that kick vie to the right, and there it was. We have got one of the toughest matchups in this playoffs, and that's going against this Texans defense, which is, I think, so formidable, so scary. And actually, the Texans offense is starting to find itself again a little bit. It went for a bit of a blip with CJ Stroud being out and Davis Mills coming in, and Mills wasn't even bad. But they've now found their rhythm again, and D'Amico Ryans is a fantastic coach. I feel like I've heard, like, today and yesterday, people being a bit like the underdog story of the Texans. No, like, it might be a Mike Tomlin historic coach, Hall of Fame coach against new up and coming head coach D'Amico Ryans. Yeah, that's a fair argument, but this is not Texans being the underdogs. No way. Going into Acrisure, it's not. Is it Acrisure Stadium? It's called now Heinz Field. Let's call it Heinz Field. It's Heinz Field to everyone who's an actual NFL fan. That is not an underdog story to me. Like, this defense for the Texans has been the top defense all season. They are formidable. They are good. They are aggressive, and they rush you, and they'll get really in your face. Can Rodgers cope with that? I think he can. I've been really impressed with him this year. I actually think he's going to be willing to take. He's not been willing to take any hits all year, and I feel like in the playoffs, he's actually a bit like, well, if any time I'm going to get hit, it's now. That's fine. It's in the playoffs at least. Getting DK Metcalf back is a big bonus for us. I have now submitted to the fact that we really are quite wide receiver-less without DK. Calvin Austin, I do really like him, and I have got a lot of hope for him still, but he's not at that point yet. We've got the 3 tight end set. Johnny Smith's done nothing this year. Washington's gone down with a broken arm now. He's out for the rest of the year. Pat Fryermuth had 2 incredible catches in the Browns game, I believe, but has not been seen all year, and he was one of our best. I've said this on blooming Radio Talk Sport 2. I've said it on our podcast twice in a week. Where has Pat Fryermuth been all year? Why are we not using him? He's been one of our best offensive weapons for the last few years, and he's just gone completely out the game plan this year. Not through any fault of his own. I think it's through our game plan, and I just don't get it. He's a quality tight end. Running back wise, Warren and Gainwell, 1 week they look like blooming, oh God, historical small size running back who was really good. Skye, you're pretty good at this sort of stuff.
Say again, sorry.
Who's like a historic small star? Darren Sproles.
Danny Woodhead.
Danny Woodhead. I was going to say Darren Sproles. That's a good
Danny
one.
Woodhead was great, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know who he was. A D1 running back who was a big contributor for the Patriots and the Chargers. But yes, Darren Sproles is probably a more widely known one.
Well, 1 week them both look like him, and then the next week they look like they never ran a ball in their life. It's a real tragic story sometimes with them two. And I really like Gainwell and Warren as well. I actually love Jaylen Warren. I'm like, even if he isn't RB1, I still want to keep him on our team. I think he's still really quality. He just needs to be used in the right way. We are playing the wrong team at the wrong time. I actually think if we played the Chargers, we would maybe win that game. And the more I'm watching podcast stuff and listening to stuff in the last 24 hours, the more that disgusting, horrible, tiny little bit of hope is just sort of in me now. And as they say, it is the hope that kills you.
I'm really rooting for Steelers, but I'm not gonna lie, because for me, I love Rodgers, and I want him to have one great final send off.
He's not going anywhere, mate. He's coming back.
Yeah, you think he'll come back? He said before, didn't he? Early on in the season, he's potentially his last season. But potentially, I mean, if you end that well in a season, maybe it gives him the thirst to come back.
I think he comes back. I don't see if we'd have lost. For me, I was like, right, full reset, blow the button, Tomlin out, Rodgers out, even like Cam Hayward out. I'd even stretch it, TJ Watt out, like just get the picks. Like, let's just reset. Let's just clean slate, money reset, start again a little bit, and just sort of get back to a bit of like, sort of press the button a little bit like the Patriots did. Just press button, clear it all out, start again. Have maybe a crap coach for a year or two, and then get our guy in that's clearly going to be the future, you know. I'd be willing to do that. But now that we've got into the playoffs and the way it's been, it is almost like I've sort of said it again on podcasts and on the radio. We were meant, when we got Rodgers and DK and Ramsey, it was like, oh, this is our all-in thing. And actually, when you look at our team, we've not gone that all-in because we've not got that many wide receivers. Our defense hasn't been that good. So I almost think there's almost another all-in season to come, which would be next year. And it's also given Rodgers a year to see what... Obviously, he's been around the league for ages and know what the Steelers are about, but he doesn't know what it is like to be a Steeler. And now he does. And I think, I have to admit, I think certain players will go to certain teams. They stay on for a little bit longer because they get... It's a thing of being... I am a Steeler, like this situation I'm in is historical. You know, if he was still at the Jets, I don't mean he looks around and goes, if the Jets are doing badly, he's going, well, I can retire soon. It's like any player, you know, Diggs joining the Patriots. Some would say that his career was done really after, where was he last? Well, I can't remember where he was last.
Houston, he had his injury.
Houston injury. Most people say he's done, but he's gone to New England. They've taken a chance on him and he's been fantastic. But there must be some revitalization of being with Vrabel and being a Patriot. And like, there must be that sort of thing in players that maybe being in the situation of somewhere that is historical and is sort of a cornerstone of the NFL work, of the NFL history, does revitalize your career in a way. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out.
I actually 100% agree. And I know I jokingly have made like comments to the Steelers just because, like, you know, Steelers not usually a team that's historically troubled the Patriots, right? So I've made comments, but actually, you're right. The Steelers are a cornerstone franchise. You see what they've done this season, taking the game to Ireland. You know, a lot of roots there. They've grown the game. They're historically, you know, great franchise. And I think when Rodgers has spent 2 years in New York, actually, to be part of the Steeler family and be embraced by Tomlin and get them, like I was saying yesterday on our pods, you know, you've not won the division in 5 years. So to get a taste of that, you know, if it's a narrow defeat even on Monday night, then he probably goes, actually, I fancy another run at this. And I think it is also interesting as well, like Fred's saying about the hope, getting your hopes up. It's the reverse. Like when you're expected to win, I've been saying I want the Chargers for 2 weeks. Then I wake up on Monday and go, Lab McConkey, Justin Herbert, who knows? But when you've got in the way the Steelers have, of course, the whole of Steeler Nation now is going to be like, well, hang on a minute. We're at home in the playoffs. We have a really tasty atmosphere where no team's going to really want to come into it. And as balanced as the Texans offense is, you know, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, all these guys, Alex Highsmith, all these guys can get to the quarterback and cause pressure. And I think it could be, if the Steelers can keep the Texans to say under 20 points, then they have a chance of winning this game.
If we can keep it ugly, then we have a chance. Like with that, I think, but I can say that about. I think that's sort of any team we play against in a way. When we play really ugly and we make them play ugly, we're in with a chance of winning. We sort of bring them down to our level in a weird way. You know, the Ravens should be blown us out in that last game. The first half they were great, and we suddenly turned up in the second half a little bit and played a little bit of defense. And I think we're capable of that's the thing we're capable of doing. We're capable of looking really terrible for many drives, and then we'll have one 4 and out where you're like, wow, this team couldn't do anything against this defense. But the problem is we're just so inconsistent with that. And it's the same with the offense as well. Sometimes we storm down the field, and then nothing is we don't get a first down for 3 lots of plays, and it's just ridiculous, you know. So I don't know. We will see what team turns up, because I know which Texans team is turning up.
I was going to say, it's interesting on paper. Like Fred, you've said before, that this Steelers team is kind of like, if it was a Madden team 6 years ago, there'd be a lot of guys who'd be 95 rated with Rodgers and Ramsey, etc. But yeah, obviously, like the Texans are the favourites. They've earned the respect now. I know, again, they have to say that after what I said about the Jags, but I just think there's something different about the Texans. They mirror a lot of championship teams that we've seen. Obviously, did a video yesterday was talking about that Seahawks team the last time they were the 1 seed. Like, this Texans team does remind me of that Seahawks team that went all the way. You know, elite defense in all areas, the pass rush, the secondary. And CJ Stroud, when he has been in the playoffs and we've seen him, you know, only a handful of games, but he's not been phased by the lights of the playoffs. He's you know, putting good performances. So,
not like Trey May.
Because he's not played yet. But if the Texans can get through this game, then that's when I think everyone else should start to be worried. Because the first game of any playoff run is up in the air. If that momentum starts to build, then potentially things open up for them.
That's the thing. I mean, momentum's so big in the NFL. I mean, I kind of think in a way, I always think about like teams who have playoff buys. Is it a good thing or bad thing? Because you saw the Ravens play the Titans a number of years ago. Titans came off a winning in Foxborough against the Patriots. Week off for the Ravens, and then they felt a bit rusty. And I feel like if a team goes into after a big win like the Steelers had against the Ravens, that meant it's going to be an all-time high. And it was the same thing with the Titans in that game against the Ravens in the 2019 season. And I think that will be, because every stat will tell you the Texans should win this game. They got a better record. Their defense is better. Stroud's played, you know, at times better than Rodgers. But I do think the Steelers could nick this. But I think they have to really just hone on these. You know, we saw a lot of the short passes from Rodgers, moving down the field methodically and, you know, not taking the time off the clock. And I think that's the way you're going to beat the Texans. I don't think, you know, I don't think you can beat them any other way. I think the Texans, this defense is, I think, the best in the league, and I think it's quite clear the best in the league. But at the same time, that Ravens game really gave me belief that there could be something magical happening in Pittsburgh. I could be getting ahead of myself after just one game, a game they could have easily lost. Would have lost 9 times out of 10 with that kick from Tyler Loop. I'm going to give it to the Texans. I think, you know, even though it's in Heinz Field or Aquasor, I just don't know whether they've got enough to beat, because let's not face it, this Ravens defense has been pretty appalling for most of the year. You know, they've scored 40 points against Bills, lost that game, 30 points against the Lions, lost that game. I think it's one thing going up against his Ravens defense, but when you're going up against the best defense in the league, or at least one of the best defenses in the league, I don't know whether they've got enough. Personally, I think it'd be a great story. I would love Rodgers to get another win. I would love him to, you know, keep going in the playoffs. But I just don't think personally they've got enough. You know, you got the 26th best run game against the 4th best run defense. So even if, you know, Rodgers is struggling, I don't know whether Warren and Gainwell are enough to sort of beat this Texas defense as well. So I'm going to go for the Texans. Skye, you're the final voter in this episode. Who are you voting for to win this?
I'm going to go for the Texans. I'm not going to ramble on about it because I've made enough points on this game. But the only caveat I have, and we've probably all thought this and said it on separate occasions over a number of years, there seems to always be an upset on the opening playoff weekend. And if there is no big upset going into Monday Night Football, then I will 100% change my mind. If, like, the favourites of, you know, or like say Bears win, Rams win, Niners Eagles is a coin flip, I don't think the Chargers beating the Pats would be a big shock. So I think, you know, if there isn't a big upset, I think the Jags beating the Bills would be an upset for US media. But if the Bills, Rams and Bears all win, then I think come Monday night, I'll be texting Fred saying...
Really, the only upset is Panthers-Rams. That's the only upset game, really. I could every single game, I could make an argument for both teams and be quite happy with it.
I agree. I just think that with a lot of like media narratives and players, like if Josh Allen loses, it is an upset. And I also think with now that everybody, it has become a bit of a bandwagon. Even I've done the same with this Texans team. I think we're all doing that, but fair play to them for making us jump on it. But if they lose to you guys, I think that is an upset. given the way the sort of the AFC North unfolded.
Mm.
But quite simply, on the balance of the game, the stats that we've all mentioned, and just the quality on both sides of the ball, I do think Houston will get it done, but it probably will be by about 3 or 6 points. I think the Steelers defense still has enough to keep them in the game and make it worth staying up to 4 a.m. if anyone fancies it.
The thing is, I think that if it's a tie-scoring game, I think I back Steelers. But I think if it gets to a double-digit lead, I think that's when the Steelers would probably struggle to come back. But I think if they can keep it a 6-point game, 5-point game if there's a safety, a 3-point game, I'd have faith in the Steelers. But I think if it gets away from them, they're 2 touchdowns down. I think then they'd find it a little harder. I would back them in a 1-score game. I really would, the Steelers. But no, I think as well Stroud. I mean, he's won a couple of playoff games already, and even in the playoff games he lost. I mean, the one against the Chiefs was not his fault at all. I mean, you had the fumble, some players fumbled kick returns. Stroud has something about him in the big moments. Now, whether that's he's not been proving it in an AFC Championship game or even winning a divisional round, I'm fully aware of that. But I do think that he's had 2 playoff wins, and he has managed to find something in him in the playoffs, whereas there's been quarterbacks who've got less players around them, like Jared Goff, who have ended up not, doing it with better weapons. So I think whatever happens, I think it's a win. I think this game is actually quite good. I am confident this game being potentially one of the best of the weekend, but it could also be a bit of a bloodbath as those defenses. But either way, that is the end of our predictions. And in the end, we've gone for wins for total the Bills, the Patriots, and the Texans. But let us know in the comments if you are watching on YouTube who you think is going to win the AFC matchups, and stay tuned for the NFC matchups coming up later on in the week, where we've got hopefully a Panthers fan and Panthers fan and Rams fan in the same episode, where they battle out who's going to win that game along with the rest of the NFC games. But in the meantime, Freddie, Skye, first of all, huge thank you for coming on, and good to have you on once again.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me on. You did say we all went for the Patriots. I did not. I went the Chargers. I want that on record. Just to,
the Patriots.
Just to remind everybody, we
I
all
did
went.
My Pats voodoo. I did to make Andy forget we all picked them. But no, thank you for having us on. It's obviously a pleasure as always, and I'm just excited for all. Well, mainly obviously selfishly us UK and Ireland fans, but all NFL fans. I think these playoffs are probably the most unpredictable that we've seen since 2015, and if not, maybe as far as 2008. I think it's wide open, and if anyone gets a chance, watch at least every game, even if it's a 40-minute highlights, because they're going to be great.
It could be the best playoffs we've ever seen. I think. Like, it could reasonably be that.
I mean, the best I can think of is that 2021 season where you had that amazing weekend where you had Bills, Chiefs, you had the Packers, Niners, you had, I can't think what the other 2 games were, but I remember that season particularly. I remember I was in uni at the time, just being an unbelievable playoffs. And I think this season has been one of the best. I think half the reason is because it's not been the same teams winning. I think everyone's rejoiced in the Chiefs not winning many games. And I've even, because it is my birthday tomorrow at time of recording, but also because I'm home for a weekend, I managed to rope my parents into watching one of the playoff games. So I managed to make it a family affair around Panthers. So I think it should be a really exciting playoff run.
Do you want breaking news on the pod?
What is this?
John Harbaugh is out as Ravens head coach.
What?
Breaking news from Rappaport and Schefter.
Oh my goodness.
Forget them from the Pankster when this goes. The Pankster breaking news.
Prime time.
Oh, you know what's so annoying is it's always me that breaks the news on our pod, innit? I always do it. Andy, come on, we've got to have 5 minutes on this.
No, let's do it. Is it confirmed? It's not a fake. I've seen some fake.
No, I promise you. I only had notifications on for the official. Yeah,
Schefter and Rappaport both announced it.
Miami, get him in tomorrow.
That is,
mate. He is going to be hired tomorrow.
Absolutely,
he'll be hired tomorrow. No way.
Now he'll be top candidate in pretty much every vacant job.
We've just gone from like the worst head coaching candidacy like cycles to now, like it's Harbaugh and everyone else.
Yeah,
like it's going to be the race for Harbaugh's signature.
The Giants will be straight in. I know the interview's
right
today, but
DeCosta is just. Sorry, I'm having to break it on our group chat. I got that fast. DeCosta's just released a statement.
Look at that for a birthday present. I mean, it doesn't benefit you in any way unless it means Lamar gets traded to the Dolphins. Who knows?
No. This is clear. No, this is clear flag plant. They believe in Lamar over Harbaugh.
Yeah, I know. It is. They want someone to unlock another level, I think, or get back to that level, I should say.
Mate, Rappaport, 30 seconds. A dramatic decision in Baltimore. GM Eric DeCosta is informing the team now because the team don't know. Like, what are you talking about?
Right?
Also, informing the team, it's ain't like United with Amarim where they're at training. They got knocked out on Monday. They're all indoors. They're on a group FaceTime.
That's insane.
Sorry,
Andy
Andy.
Reid hired out of Philadelphia. The next day, he got a job with the Chiefs. I think the same week, if not the next day. I think.
Oh, what? When Andy Reid? You said when Andy Reid went?
Yeah, when he left Philadelphia.
It was quick.
Yeah.
So wait. Hang on a minute. Who have we got out there then? We've got the Falcons, the Giants, the Titans, the Raiders. Cardinals, Browns.
Yeah.
Who's the last one? There's one more.
God, if Harbaugh went to the Browns, can you imagine that for the AFC North?
I honestly, he's got to be looking at the Giants and the Falcons. That's it.
Surely, right? Surely, the Giants have got a fairly talented-ish young group of players on defense. Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. You got Scatterboo, Dart, Malik Neighbors, and I don't know what their draft cap, their free agency money is like this year.
But they have a good young defense as well, and obviously any success he's had in Baltimore has been built around that. So.
The Falcons are quite young in defense as well, though.
Yeah, it's true. We
actually talked about this the other day, and we were going like the Giants are the top team. I was like, hang on a minute, the Falcons are there as well. Like they are there.
Yeah, like they would.
But you could go in and instill your quarterback. Take your quarterback, and you've got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, who I admittedly have been very negative about, but has actually looked quite bright this year. To be fair to him, you've got a decent second in Darnell Mooney. You got good backup in Algier. Yeah, you probably could do one or two more bits on that O line, and the defense has actually looked quite competent this year.
Their defense is good, and I think, and look. I'm not going to say they would do a 20, whatever it was, when the Joe Flacco Ravens. But, I mean, Kirk Cousins Falcons, John Harbaugh, Lombardi in Atlanta. There you go. Next year's Super Bowl announced.
Crazy news.
That's wild. That is wild in my brain.
What a way to end the show. And also, fun fact, I don't know whether that anything to do with it, in terms of tomorrow being my birthday and obviously being the news today. It's Lamar Jackson's birthday tomorrow. So what a present for him as well.
Well, well, yours is more important, mate. Not just to us, but to the whole NFL community.
I think
it's nice to know that your parents got you John Harbaugh for your birthday.
I know, right?
He's flying over.
Because I was thinking that I think the Patriots fired Mayo knowing well they could get Vrabel in, and I think that if the Dolphins think like Harbaugh's available, sorry Mike, this guy's available. That if that happens tomorrow, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to stick with Daniel. But if we fired Daniel tomorrow and hired Harbaugh, that'll be such an amazing birthday present.
To work with who? Chad and a bunch of misfits.
Waddle, but he could turn Quinn Ewers into the next Joe Flacco.
Let's stop. Happy birthday. Don't say any more.
Well, in the meantime, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.